this question a common Pakistani poses. Is Russia willing to sell oil on cheap prices and wheat on discounted prices to Pakistan?
Definitely should have some negotiations, and if Pakistan is interested in purchasing the commodities you mentioned, oil or wheat, we gotta have talks and to come to a mutual understanding.
A lot of Pakistanis believe that way forward is entering into a regional alliance. They are looking towards China for CPAC. They're also looking for Russia because there is a common feeling that they can stand up to kind of dictations, forcing them to do something. Do you see some real form sort of alliance in this regard in this region?
I think that that would be wise, unite, but unite not against anybody.
Yeah.
Unite, combine efforts in finding answers to problems.
We have a mega project called CPAC, that's from Belt and Road Initiative from China. Not only important for Pakistan, but for the region as well, because it is focusing the connectivity in South Asia and other nations. How do Russia see CPAC? How do you think that Russian companies can participate in such an important mega project?
Do remember that we had Samarkand SCO summit, this final declaration. The participating states, they support the CPAC.
So Excellency, there is a project, Pakistan Stream Gas Pipeline between Russia and Pakistan. What is the current status of that project? There were some rumors in the media, because the experts here, they believe that there will be strong reaction due to Russia-Ukraine war. So how do you see that? How can we counter the sanctions issue?
This is a very complicated issue because intergovernmental agreement on the North-South gas pipeline, and then it was renamed as the Pakistani Stream, was signed in 2015.
After these huge gatherings where Russia was discussed and President Putin was discussed, I would say majority of Pakistanis, they want to see President Putin visiting Islamabad and visiting Punjab. Can you tell us, is there any chance of President Putin visiting Pakistan?
As an ambassador, I am dreaming of that, but I don't know exactly. I do know that President Putin has deepest respect towards your country. I do know that he has warm memories of interaction with the Pakistani leaders, and I do know that he is aware of the invitation to come to Pakistan.
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, Sami Ibrahim और आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम तज्जिया। आज का प्रोग्राम एक स्पेशल एपिसोड है। वैसे तो हम सियासतदानों पर बात करते रहते हैं अपने प्रोग्राम में, पाकिस्तान के लोगों के जो हालात हैं, हमारा फ्यूचर क्या होगा, वो सब हम डिस्कस करते हैं। लेकिन इसमें अमूमी तौर पर जो डोमेस्टिक कैरेक्टर्स हैं, डोमेस्टिक प्लेयर्स हैं, उनसे हम बात करते हैं। लेकिन आज एक मुनफरद प्रोग्राम है, थोड़ा डिफरेंट है, क्योंकि मेरे मेहमान जो हैं आपके लिए एक प्लेजेंट सरप्राइज़ होगा। अनवर अब्बास हमारे जो पॉलिटिकल जो फॉरेन ऑफिस को कवर करते हैं कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट, वो तो हैं ही हैं, लेकिन ख़ुसूसी तौर पर आज रूस के पाकिस्तान में सफ़ीर डेनियला वी गेनिच ये हमारे साथ हैं। और रूस के बारे में गुफ्तगू बहुत हुई है पिछले चंद माह में। इमरान खान साहब अपने जलसों में, अपने ख़िताब में वो ये कहते हैं कि अगर उनकी हुकूमत रहती तो सस्ता तेल भी आता, सस्ती गंदम भी आती, जिससे पाकिस्तान के लोगों पर जो महंगाई का बोझ है वो ना पड़ता। और इमरान खान ये भी कहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान का फ्यूचर रीजनल अलाइंसेस में है, चाइना के साथ अच्छे ताल्लुकात और रशिया के साथ अच्छे ताल्लुकात पाकिस्तान के लिए तरक्की की ज़मानत है। इमरान खान अमेरिका से कोई दुश्मनी की बात नहीं करते, वो ये नहीं कहते कि अमेरिका से ताल्लुकात अच्छे नहीं होने चाहिए, लेकिन वो ये कहते हैं कि हमें अमेरिका का ग़ुलाम बन के नहीं रहना चाहिए। वी शुड नॉट बी स्लेव टू द अमेरिकन्स। पाकिस्तान जो ताल्लुकात बनाए वो अपनी जो उसकी तरजीहात हैं उसके मुताबिक बनाए। और फिर ये जो सारा अभी शहबाज शरीफ साहब भी गए और सदर पुतिन से मिले, इससे पहले इमरान खान साहब मिले थे, तो मामलात हैं कहाँ पे? क्या पाकिस्तान को सस्ता तेल रशिया देने के लिए तैयार है? क्या सस्ती गंदम हमें मिल सकती है? और फिर इस वक्त जो रीजनल पॉलिटिक्स है उसमें जो बाहर के असरात हैं वो कैसे इम्पेक्ट करते हैं? इनकी नज़र में रशियन एम्बेसडर की नज़र में पाकिस्तान के इस वक्त जो सैलाब की जो इमदाद है, हमारी नज़र में तो ये है कि वो जितनी मिलनी चाहिए थी नहीं मिली। इनसे पूछेंगे कि इनकी नज़र में क्या जो हमें इमदाद मिली है वो काफ़ी है या अगर कम मिली है तो क्यों मिली है। ये सारी हम गुफ्तगू उनसे करेंगे। मिक्स होगा उर्दू इंग्लिश का। कोशिश हम करेंगे कि आप तक बात जो है उनकी वो पहुंच जाए। Daniela, thank you very much for being with us this evening. I know you have a very busy schedule, but you took some time out. People of Pakistan really want to hear Ambassador of Russia to Pakistan. So my first question will be, this question a common Pakistani poses: is Russia willing to sell cheap oil on cheap prices and wheat on discounted prices to Pakistan?
First of all, sir, I would like to say that I am deeply honored to work in Islamabad, and I love this country. I love Pakistani people, and definitely thank you for having me on this program, because I think that we got to have more Russian narrative on the media, since we need some balance in news. Answering your question, sir, I think that we definitely should have some negotiations, and if Pakistan is interested in purchasing the commodities you mentioned, oil or wheat, we gotta have talks and to come to a mutual understanding. So basically this is a market, and we are for free trade, and I'm not sure that I can say that we are ready to sell at throwaway prices. But what I'm saying is that we got to talk, and as far as I remember, as far as I know, the concerned ministers are already in talks and already in consultations.
Right, because when Imran Khan was Prime Minister, he went to Russia, 3-hour meeting with President Putin.
Yeah.
And I have seen President Putin is very particular about saying things, and he always means business. He doesn't believe in photo op opportunities. He gets to the point, you know, where the real business is. 3 hours, it reflected that something very serious is being discussed. Yeah. And normally President Putin doesn't spend that much time talking to the foreign dignitaries.
No, definitely, sir. And I'm sure that we are negotiating in good faith, and I'm sure that we can discuss anything under the sun. And if we're talking about oil or wheat, we're open to that. So I don't know the particulars, but I do know that our ministries are in direct touch. We were in direct touch under the previous government of His Excellency Imran Khan, and we are still in direct touch under the present government of Sheikh Baz Sharif, His Excellency Sheikh Baz Sharif. So basically, answering your question, yes, we are ready to sell our commodities at prices which would be mutually beneficial.
Definitely. So I was talking to some diplomats from Russia a couple of years back, and in their private conversation they said that perhaps in Islamabad there is more influence of West which stops bureaucracy here or set up here to search for new avenues. So as an ambassador of Russia to Pakistan, you come across this situation, or you believe that now Islamabad is ready to open or explore new avenues?
I believe that this is a very complex issue. And I believe that when we're talking about Western influence, there may be good influence. For example, I strongly believe that being part of the English-speaking world, it could be a plus for Pakistan, as well as if we are talking about business ethics or some features which the Americans or the British may have. This is a good thing. As for aspiration for dominance, this is a different thing, and this is a matter of national interests. And this is not my place, sir, to lecture Pakistan on how to behave or how to conduct its national policies. But what I can say, sir, is that definitely in the world there is a requirement, there is an urgency for some kind of balance, because we cannot continue to live in a world which reminds some neo-colonial system. Because what we got right now is double standards and neo-colonialism. I wouldn't like to use this opportunity to attack someone or to criticize too much, but I'm just stating a fact that there may be two different influences, kinds of influence. One is positive English as a means of communication, because when you got bilinguals, that's very good in my view. Or when you got some Western work ethics, that's very good. But at the same time, when a third country tries to dictate, this is something different. And yes, I feel sometimes an attempt to dictate. But I leave it to the sovereign government of Pakistan to decide how to respond to that.
It's a very good answer. You are selecting very right words to clarify your position. But the difficulty is that when there is an attempt, as you mentioned, when there is dictations, so it does impact and affect the whole region, because what one country is doing is impacting the others.
Yeah.
So, do you see that this tendency to dictate is impacting the region here, particularly the part of the world where we are living?
Yes, it affects the attempt to dictate everybody is influencing everybody.
Yeah.
It's influencing this particular region.
Yeah.
It has an influence over the whole world, because we should not make any mistake that the United States is a superpower. And when it acts in a certain way, it has a certain influence. I think that much better would be for everybody to find some kind of balance of interests. And in that way, it would be even better for the United States too. But they have their own logics, and I think this is a mistake. Answering your question, yes, I feel that I think that there is a tendency and there is an attempt to preserve dominance. I think they realize that with each year that dominance is shrinking. And that makes the attempt of the collective West to preserve that system which existed from the times of the breakup of the USSR in 1991 until present time, makes the things very dangerous. because they try to preserve something which they're losing. It may be, and it will be, a lengthy process. It's not a matter of 1 year, 2 years. Maybe it will be 2 decades. Nobody knows. I know those people on TV don't know much. Nobody knows the exact how it will play out. But the process started. The process started. And in my view, it would be much better to find some kind of balance of interests and to act as a human species, concentrating ourselves on what should really matter, such as the climate change. What happened to the climate?
Yeah. Climate, yeah. It's a very important subject, yeah.
Floods.
Floods, yeah. It has changed the world, especially the Pakistan these days. The situation we are facing with is just devastating, devastating. Another question related to the conversation which we have, that a lot of Pakistanis believe that way forward is entering into a regional alliance. They are looking towards China for CPAC, and they're also looking for Russia, because China, Russia, then in this region, Iran, Pakistan, there is a common feeling that they can stand up to kind of dictations or kind of forcing them to do something. Do you see some real form of some sort of alliance in this regard in this region?
I think that that would be wise to unite, but unite not against anybody.
Yeah.
But unite and combine efforts in finding answers to problems such as food security or energy security or the climate change or the COVID viruses. Yes, I think we should create different alliances and different formats of cooperation. But again, I would like to underline this. I don't think that it would be wise to direct our cooperations against anybody. So, and I would like also to underline that the policies of Russia is directed at the betterment of its own life. We don't put as a national goal to destroy some sovereign country. We don't, we defend our interests. We seek as a national priority the betterment of our own life. We do not seek to make others' life worse.
But sometimes when you want to improve your life, automatically you are failing some other designs.
Yeah, frustrate some others, hostile designs.
Right.
That's true, but that's this is not against. This is in protection of.
Yes. The ambassador is very right in saying that when you protect your interests, maybe you are frustrating the other one at the same time, but actually you are trying to protect yourself. नाज़रीन, यहाँ पर हम एक छोटा सा वक्फा लेंगे और जब वापस आते हैं तो फिर हमारे जो डिप्लोमेटिक कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट हैं अनवर अब्बास, इनको भी गुफ्तगू में शरीक करेंगे। बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट ये गुफ्तगू, रशिया पाकिस्तान को एक कम कीमत पर, जो कि म्यूचुअल एग्रीड प्राइस है, गंदम और तेल देने के लिए तैयार है और देखता है रशिया पाकिस्तान के साथ मुस्तकबिल में बेहतर ताल्लुकात को। इसके अलावा जो इस खित्ते में जो डिक्टेशंस की कोशिश है, जो इन्फ्लुएंस करने की कोशिश है, वो इस बात से भी इसको तस्लीम करते हैं कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए और अपने अपने जो मफादात हैं उसके लिए कौमों को मिलना चाहिए। यहाँ पर भी एक रीजनल अलायंस होना चाहिए, लेकिन किसी के ख़िलाफ़ नहीं, अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए। एक छोटा सा वक्फ़ा और ये गुफ्तगू का सिलसिला जारी रहेगा। वेलकम बैक नाजरीन। पाकिस्तान में रूस के सफ़ीर हमारे साथ हैं, अनवर अब्बास भी हमारे साथ हैं। दोनों ममालिक के दरमियान ताल्लुकात के हवाले से हम बात कर रहे हैं और अब अनवर अब्बास को भी मैं गुफ्तगू में शरीक करूँगा। मिस्टर अनवर अब्बास, नाउ यू गॉट द पोडियम।
Definitely, Excellency. Pakistan and Russia are coming closer, and it is necessary that to bring two nations close together, the public-to-public contact is very important. The Russian language, it's not very much familiar in Pakistan, and the Pakistani public that is not very much familiar with the Russian people or customs and cultures. So how do you see, how can we bring these, how can we bridge these gaps between Pakistan and Russia? Can you increase scholarships like the Western countries are doing in Pakistan? They are asking Pakistani youth to be there, to study there, and to live there and to understand the culture?
Yes, definitely we are going to increase the number of scholarships. At the same time, we got to understand that we got some budget limitations, especially right now when we are under the unprecedented sanctions. You know, the sanctions that were imposed on us are unprecedented in history. We did increase the number of scholarships. I suppose from 17 to 45, but it's a drop in the ocean if we're talking about the state-funded scholarships. At the same time, we got hundreds of Pakistanis who are studying in Russian universities on a commercial basis. So the process is going on. Definitely it will be a gradual process, but I fully agree with you, and I would say that our government understands that, and we believe that the more people here in Pakistan are familiar not only with the Russian language per se, but also with Russian culture, the better.
And we have a mega project called CPEC, that's from Belt and Road Initiative from China. And it is not only important for Pakistan but for the region as well, because it is focusing the connectivity in South Asia and other nations. How do Russia see CPEC, and how do you think that Russian companies can participate in such an important mega project?
I do remember that we had this Samarkand summit, or Samarkand, I don't know the exact.
Samarkand.
Samarkand.
In Pakistan.
Yeah, Samarkand SCO summit. It was a week ago. And in this final declaration, the participating states declared that they support the CPEC, and they support the harmonization of different infrastructural projects. So the political decision is there, and the Kremlin approved, and the specifics, I don't know, I cannot answer you competently, but I do know that we support this. We support the harmonization, and by the way, it's consistent, which has just been said, that we need to diversify regional formats and regional cooperation.
And Pakistan has a neighboring country, Afghanistan, that has always been prey to turmoil, civil war and foreign invasions, plenty of things there. So, do you think that after exit of Americans from Afghanistan, the challenges are still there to bring peace in the region? Because in Afghanistan, we have development projects that could be accomplished only when there is a peace in Afghanistan, like ESA 1000, plenty of other projects are there.
Yeah.
So do you think the challenges that were there during the time of Americans, they are still there, they exist?
I think that definitely the period of occupation of Afghanistan didn't bring much to that country. Unlike, by the way, the Soviet occupation, because at least we built something.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think that the primary task right now is to facilitate the start of the Afghan economy. So Americans are the past, so they're gone. Let's not talk about the unfortunate Americans, let's talk about Afghans. So what we as the international community should do is help start the Afghan economy. And it needs two things. One thing is the willingness of the Afghan people, I'm sure that it's there, and the initial capital. So basically what we're talking about is the resumption of financing out of their own resources, which have been frozen. So as far as I remember, it's like $9 billion. $9 billion. No, they were just frozen. What's going on? So they need that money. Probably there could be some financial advice, because one thing is to fight,
Yes.
and another thing is to invest and to make business. So probably there should be some kind of assistance in terms of sound financial advice. But you cannot, pocket other people's money.
That is true.
गुफ्तगू हमारी जारी है। अनवर, मैं आपको रोकूंगा। अभी एक छोटा सा वक्फा हमने लेना है। बड़ी इम्पोर्टेंट गुफ्तगू अफ़गानिस्तान के हवाले से। पैसे $9 बिलियन जो अफ़गान्स के हैं, किस तरह अमेरिका उसको रोक सकता है? ये वापस अफ़गानियों को मिलना चाहिए। और अब अमरीकी जो हैं वो माजी का हिस्सा हैं, असल जो फ्यूचर है वो अफ़गान अवाम का है। इसी तरह सी पैक जो है वो रशिया उसको बेहतर निगाह से देखता है और इन प्रिंसिपल ये जो अलायंस है इसको वो अप्रूव करता है। ये हमारी गुफ्तगू जारी है रशियन सफ़ीर से, लेकिन एक छोटा सा वक्फा। वेलकम बैक नाज़रीन। रूस के सफ़ीर हमारे साथ हैं, अनवर अब्बास भी हमारे डिप्लोमेटिक कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट, और गुफ्तगू हो रही है पाकिस्तान और रशिया के माबैन ताउन की क्या नई राहें निकल सकती हैं। और अनवर अब्बास के पास एक गैस पाइपलाइन के हवाले से एक और सवाल है। जी अनवर।
So Excellency, there is a project, Pakistan Stream gas pipeline between Russia and Pakistan. What is the current status of that project? And there were some rumors in the media that the talks on few issues they are facing halt at the moment because the experts here, they believe that there will be strong reaction due to Russia-Ukraine war, the reaction because of sanctions. So how do you see that? How can we counter the sanctions issue? And having sanctions apart, we can boost our bilateral trade and the project like Pakistan gas stream pipeline?
This is a very complicated issue because the intergovernmental agreement on the north-south gas pipeline, and then it was renamed as the Pakistani Stream, was signed back in 2015. And the status is that we have commercial negotiations going on. I wouldn't like to go into details because let's not make the work of intelligence easy.
Yeah, that's true.
But I can tell you one, as we say in Russia, big thing. The problem is not sanctions per se, but political will to act despite external pressure. Because as you understand, they may not even be some kind of formal sanctions. But the Americans will come, hit with their fists on the table. And there are different reactions. Some group of countries and some group of people will be scared. And they will prefer not to act. But some other countries and individuals will be scared, but they will still act. So this is the difference. It's not a matter of some kind of legal act. It's a matter of political will.
Yes. So, at this point, let me ask you a question. Currently, is there any negotiation between Pakistan and Russia to get oil and wheat on cheap price?
I would rephrase that. There are negotiations on a number of commodities, including definitely oil and wheat, on mutually beneficial price, not cheap price, but mutually beneficial price.
Right. No. My question was that.
Yeah.
Is there negotiations?
There are negotiations. There are contacts.
There are contacts.
Yes, contacts. So you can call it negotiations because basically it could be very simple.
Okay. Let me rephrase my question. Is there any chance that in next couple of months we can see a shipment of wheat or oil coming from Russia to Pakistan?
I hope that we will. And we have a very nice precedent. In 2020, we used to have a trade turnover of like $790 million. And out of that, 1/3 was wheat.
Oh.
So it already happened. It already happened. And if we are talking about some commodities, it is much easier to trade in wheat, because how the guys from across the ocean will be explaining.
Right.
We are blocking wheat to a sovereign country. It's not that easy because they already started that propaganda machine.
So,
and Excellency Danila, there are some issues which are affecting the trade between Pakistan and Russia, like high freight rates are there, the tariff issues are there from both the sides, the road link that is not available. How do you think that we can remove these obstacles and we can boost our trade level between the two countries?
To boost trade between our two countries is I would say it needs time and it needs concerted efforts in different directions. As I already told you that I believe, and this is a great plus, you are part of the English-speaking world. But at the same time, you don't know much about the Russian market. So it needs time. It needs just further development. I cannot answer I cannot give you a clear-cut recipe, but I do know that we are in the right direction. I have noticed, and I would like to express my government's gratitude that under any administration, we got a steady development in our relations. We are going step by step, but in the right direction. English, Russian, interaction of people, interaction of businesses, and it will bring the result.
it will be. So we are, I think, running out of time. One last question. After these huge gatherings where the Russia was discussed and President Putin was discussed, a lot of Pakistani, I would say majority of Pakistanis, they want to see President Putin visiting Islamabad and visiting Punjab. Can you tell us, is there any chance of President Putin visiting Pakistan in near future?
I cannot comment for the Kremlin, of course, because the Kremlin has its own spokesperson, Mr. Peskov. But as an ambassador, I am dreaming of that. But I don't know exactly. I do know that President Putin has respect, deepest respect towards your country. I do know that he has warm memories of interaction with the Pakistani leaders, and I do know that he is aware of the invitation to come to Pakistan. At the same time, and I'm sure that at the right moment, Moscow will remember about this. But at the same time, as you mentioned, sir, our president is a man of deed. So we got to substantiate the need for his coming, because what can we discuss now?
Very important.
Yeah.
Because we are out of time, I'll have to say goodbye. And Ambassador, Mr. Ambassador, you talked, in detail, and you didn't mince your words. You were very open, and you expressed your thoughts very openly. And we really appreciate that, and hoping to see you soon on this screen. नाज़रीन, इजाज़त दीजिए। प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन पाकिस्तान बिल्कुल आने के लिए तैयार हैं और उनके दिलों में पाकिस्तानियों के लिए बड़ी रिस्पेक्ट है, लेकिन वो उसी वक्त आएंगे यहाँ जब कोई अमली तौर पर हम किसी मुआहदे के नज़दीक पहुँचेंगे। इससे पहले भी रूसी सफारतकार मुझे बता चुके हैं प्राइवेट कन्वर्सेशंस में कि सिर्फ फ़ोटो ऑप शायद प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन के लिए पाकिस्तान आने की एक मजबूत वजह नहीं हो सकती। इजाज़त दीजिए, कल फिर इंशाल्लाह मुलाकात होगी। अल्लाह निगहबान।
यहाँ सबको सिर्फ 1 मिनट मिलेगा। And your time starts now. लाखों करोड़ों बस 1 मिनट में।
जीतो 1 मिनट में, जीतो 1 मिनट में, जीतो 1 मिनट में, जीतो 1 मिनट में।
सबसे ज्यादा व्यूज, सबसे ज्यादा रील्स और सबसे ज्यादा रेटिंग के साथ बोल अब भी नंबर 1 पोजीशन पर बरकरार।
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।